All right. So within the 20th century, things really began to shift, right? I think what was interesting for me was you had, Teddy Roosevelt really kind of excelled at the turn of the century based on kind of American might and industrialization. But what was
another
interesting,
badass.
Yeah, but he had very progressive views. And it was like, hey, let's get rid of child labor. Women's suffrage was a big thing. But after he came out, he went back into politics, and that's when he started. And this was really, in my opinion, the first of the third party candidates. And this was the Bull Moose Party, right? Which was the Progressive Party of 1912, because he lost the Republican nomination to Howard Taft. Right. So he run as this third party. So on women's suffrage, labor protections, direct democracy, regulation of corporations. Right. He wanted to break up the monopolies. Well, what was crazy is that he won 27% of the vote, but he split the Republican vote. And that's where all these third party concepts come in. You have so much pressure. Well, all you're going to do is just split one side or the other, thereby losing all your momentum. There's no way you're going to pull from both parties, right? So he ended up losing, and then who'd we get? The great Woodrow Wilson, who gave us all kinds of wonderful, wonderful outcomes. World War I, the Federal Reserve Act, and on
income
and
tax.
on. Income tax. God bless Woodrow Wilson, right? You son of a bitch. All right. So that was really, in my mind, the first one of modern politics that began to emerge. They pretty much Democrats dominated politics all the way through FDR, World War I. Then you had Truman come in, Republican. And then right after him, Eisenhower, Kennedy, LBJ, and then finally in the late 60s, Nixon, But there were kind of this coalition that even gained strength. But even within the Democratic Party, there was some division. You had the Dixiecrats of 1948, led by Storm Thurmond. You had within the American Independent Party, led by George Wallace, the governor of Alabama, who was opposed to civil rights. What was crazy is that he won 13.5 of the popular vote and 46 electoral votes. Now, that's key to realize. Many people never even talk about him winning that many votes, right? Because it's the electoral votes. What everybody always wants to go is that, people want to go to the most notable in modern history, which was Ross Perot. And they want to be like, well, Ross Perot run as an independent. He gained a significant, his 1992 run. He peaked at 19% in summer polls. In October, finished with 19% of the popular vote. But guess what? How many electoral votes did Ross Perot get, Jordy?
Oh, no. I'm going to guess 10.
He got 0.
Nice.
Right?
So if I was alive, I feel like I would have liked Ross Perot.
I'll tell you what I did. I really did. I mean, I thought he was sharp. He used to do these really awesome, commercials where he would take graphs and he'd explain everything.
I've seen his famous thing about him explaining all of that, like the spending or the debt or the Federal Reserve. I mean, it was like he was super wealthy, right? And so he just bought his time.
That's right.
And he was like, here you go. We're going to do a college lecture real quick on how this works. Dude, that's awesome. I wish people would do that.
Well, people resonated with him, right?
Yeah.
People were like, yeah, we're sick of the spending. We're sick of the bull. We're sick of all this that's going on. The war's going on. We're sick of all this. And he was able to strike a nerve, right? And, he was a populist, a centrist, right? And he called it the Reform Party, basically. And it was an alternative to the Democratic Republicans. And his main thing was he wanted to balance federal budgets with deficit reduction. He opposed to corporate-driven trade deals. He wanted campaign finance reform. Campaign finance reform, term limits for Congress, which I think I know if you're listening, you want
love
that.
this guy.
I want that, right? I mean, right? Government accountability and transparency. That would be nice, wouldn't it?
Bro, Ross Perot 2028. Let's go.
Exactly. Immigration controls, right? That's a big issue nowadays. And in 96, he ran again, but he only received 8.4% of the vote, not as strong as 92. I think people really loved Clinton. You had Jesse Ventura, who actually ran, right, as a reform candidate and won the Minnesota governor's race. Now, that's a key indicator right there because states are the most vulnerable. And I'll get into that in a second, right? And finally, you had Pat Buchanan, John Hagelin. You had a couple Green Party candidates in the past, but really the last substantial one was on a presidential was Ross Perot and Jesse Ventura as a governor. And then finally, where we're at today on July 4th, Elon Musk announced that the American Party. Now, according to YouGov, 45% of Americans believe a third party is necessary, but just 11% would consider joining. A Quinnipiac University poll, 49% Americans say they would consider joining a third party, while only 17% say they are interested in the one created by Musk. CNN, 63% Americans favor third party, just 25% when Musk is involved. I guess those centrists on the Democratic side, once he got behind Trump, kind of ended that for him.